Today at the Bridge is brought to you by
Christians having conversations about conflict in cars.
Well, hello and welcome yet again to Today at the Bridge, Auxiliary Conversations, where Tim and I get a chance to talk about Aaron's sermon.
Taking a drive.
Just like the best Monday morning quarterbackers that we are.
Yep, we are going back and we are letting Aaron know where he went wrong.
All the mistakes he made. That man's theology is so on point. Got you.
No, but I mean, I think like how often, like when you're listening to a sermon, there's an idea that you don't normally get to expand on, because
absolutely.
It's weird when you're in a room with 300 people to raise your hand and go, could you please expand on that, sir?
Can you give me some more details on what you just said there? And so we like to have these conversations because in this conversation we get to take a single thought that he had that he was only able to expand on for a little bit, and we can draw it out longer.
Yeah,
which is always good. So we decided, we had to go somewhere.
Well, before we get into it, let's the disclaimer. Or I think that's what you're about to get to.
Yeah, we're in a car.
Yeah, we're in a car, so this is going to be real shaky sometimes. Thank you.
We're going this way.
Yes, we're going this way.
Cool.
Yeah, me and Zach had to run a couple errands today, and we didn't want to miss out on making sure that you guys got your sweet, delicious content that you're used to. So we said, hey, let's just throw the old camera up on a car tripod and let's just give her a whirl.
Let's give her a whirl. And so we're going to do that. And so we're talking about though conflict because Aaron talked about all the things in your life that can clutter up your spiritual life, which will prevent others from being able to see Jesus in your life, which is what you want to be able to do as a believer.
Right.
And so with that, one of the first thing he said about things that can be cluttering your spiritual life is unresolved conflict. And yeah.
So I mean, how many times have you heard, and I have too, of people that are in conflict for like 30 some odd years and they don't even remember why they're mad at each other anymore. Right. But they're still mad at each other and they won't talk to each other.
The Hatfields and the McCoys.
Yep, pretty much.
That's right.
Sorry, I just would say conflict it's a mess because it breaks relationships and it has the potential to break them permanently.
Right.
If you let it get out of hand.
Yeah, and really what conflict is when two disparate ideas arrive in the same arena.
Right.
Right? And so and that's where a lot of times what that in our circles and what we see is the ideas are sin issues, right? Where someone has sinned against someone else because they thought, well, this is something okay for me to do, even though it was harmful to that person, or even though they knew it was against God's law.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where conflict really starts to begin. But we have good news, and you know what I love? The word gospel means good news.
Yes, it does.
And you know where our topic of conversation is going to go today?
The Gospels.
The Gospels. Primarily Matthew 18, which I'm not going to read to you because I'm driving a car. So, in Matthew 18, Jesus actually gave a template or a model of how to resolve conflict, or essentially when someone sins against you, how to resolve that in your life. And so we're going to really quick kind of just walk through what that looks like.
Yeah, and you know, actually, it's funny that you bring that up because if you want to be a youth leader with the Bridge Church, or you want to be a worship leader with the Bridge Church, in those handbooks I have, you agree to resolve conflict with other members on the team in a Matthew 18 way.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So run us through it. What is Matthew 18?
All right, Matthew 18. So here's what the first part. It's 3 steps.
3 steps.
So step 1.
Step 1.
Talk to the person.
Yeah.
Go talk to them. Go up and say, hey, there's an issue here, or we need to talk about. There was some sin. There was some conflict, and we need to discuss this.
Yeah.
Because something between our relationship right now is not correct.
Yeah, and I think this is the easiest part. You want to handle it before it gets really gross, because I think conflict is a lot like an infection. Like it starts not that bad, but then if you just let it go, you end up getting your leg amputated or something like that.
Right, like I remember episode of House where the girl broke her toe.
Bumpy. Sorry.
Where a girl broke her toe and they didn't catch it, and then it ended up almost killed her because there was some kind of disease flowing through her body.
And those stories are all over the internet. But if you sense there's something funky going on between you and somebody else that you love, or even someone they don't necessarily love, but like hey, that person normally treats me way better than that, or I can, go and talk to that person.
Or just another brother or sister in Christ. It's just somebody who's just around you, and you guys have different ideas, and there's conflict there because conflict is part of what happens when you have two sinners in a room.
Yeah.
So
I mean, me and Aaron have conflict on what we should do on Sunday morning all the time, but we resolve it in a Matthew 18 way when it does come up and becomes a serious issue.
Right. So step 2 on all this would be you go ahead, and if they won't listen, and you guys, so many bumps.
Left, yes.
Okay. Someone's in our way. I'm going to conflict them real quick. But if someone won't, they're trying to resolve this issue and it's not going anywhere from meeting with them, the next thing Jesus told us to do is to bring somebody else with you. Bring another believer, somebody higher up in the church, to have that conversation, to help be a mediator. Because there might be things where you think, oh, this is all their issue, but there might be sin on your side as well that you need to resolve. And have somebody to mediate those things for you, to really bring you together, right? To resolve that conflict by having someone else who's an objective observer to what's going on,
right?
And then to bring them in. And there are times though when even that's not enough.
Yeah.
And that's where the third step comes in. The third step is to bring that before the church.
Absolutely.
And I mean, and most times you will not see issues get to that point in churches because as we're all trying to be more like Christ, we will address it before we get there. And here's an important part of this too. This is not gossip. This is not you going around the church and telling everyone, well, this person's a sinner in this way. This is you trying to protect the body of believers by making sure that sin is addressed in an appropriate manner. Because sin, regardless of where it starts, always affects more than just the people that are initially involved in it.
Absolutely.
And so Jesus, that's right?
Yep.
Yeah. So Jesus, he gave us this example of, hey, talk to your brothers, and if they repent and you guys can resolve it, you've gained a brother. Now you can restore that fellowship. And if they won't do that, then you go ahead and get somebody else and you bring them in and you work on trying to restore the fellowship. And if that doesn't work, then you bring it to the church and you work on protecting the body and hopefully using that as well to restore the fellowship, because the whole point of resolving conflict in a biblical manner is to restore fellowship between you and the other person and resolve that conflict.
That's absolutely right.
And that's what we're going for. And that's why it's so great that Jesus gave us that example in the Gospels of how do we do it. Because, like I said, I'm a sinner.
Yep.
Tim's definitely a sinner.
All day, every day.
And because of that, there is going to be conflict in our lives. That's just the nature of who we are. And we need that to be resolved. And Christ gave us an example of how to do that in a biblical way. So, here's what I need you guys to do. To make me not have conflict with you, go ahead and do this. Click on the subscribe button. It's going to be a little different somewhere around here.
Yep.
Will be it. I'm going to put the sermon from Sunday right on Tim's face. And I'm going to put the additional aux conversations right on my face.
Yep.
So do that one. I'm kidding. I'm not going to give you any kind of conflict if you don't subscribe. We love you, and we will see you guys later. Bye.
Peace.